We're going to talk about setting up the PA today in the radio station. We'll start with the equipment we have. Here are our higher frequency speakers, and here is our subwoofer. So these speakers are all powered. They have the amplifiers built in, so we're going to need power run to get these speakers going. And so we'll take it out. We have our stand set up. There's a safety pin in here. We're going to put the pin in. We're going to tighten the knob here, and then we're going to place the speaker on top of the stand. There we go. In the bag you have your power cable. So we're going to take our power cable out. We're going to plug power in here. We're going to plug it into an outlet. And we are ready to go. We're not going to power it up yet. We're going to wait until we plug everything in first. So over here on the wall we have our wall box. We have 12 inputs, XLR inputs that go into our mixer in the production suite. And then we have 4 returns, which are TRS connectors. We have an adapter here so that we can come out of it and go into our speaker. Those are our returns from the mixer. So that's our way of getting out of the mixer back into the room, and that's how we're going to feed the speakers here today. So to keep things simple, we're just going to set up one send from the speakers. We could have multiple sends going if we wanted to do something a little bit more complex. So I have the adapter plugged into the first output. I have an XLR cable, which we're going to run to our subwoofer. So we're going to demonstrate setting this up with the subwoofer today. So the reason we go to the subwoofer first is because the subwoofer is going to handle the crossover duties of this setup. So what I mean by that is that it's going to keep the low frequencies down here and pass only the high frequencies on to our smaller satellite speakers. So I'm going into the first input here. This has power, just like our smaller speakers. Okay, and I'm going to get another XLR cable. Here we go.
That's coming from the wall.
From the wall into the subwoofer. And then what we have 2 options for outputs of the subwoofer. There is a high pass output, and here I'll tilt it up so you could see. We have a high pass output, and we have a full range output. So for our demonstration here, we're going to come out the high pass output. So what that's going to do is it's going to keep the low frequencies in our subwoofer and pass only the high frequencies onto our satellite speakers. So we're going to plug out of the subwoofer. We're going to take the other end of this XLR and come up into our smaller satellite speaker here. Now, these speakers have a couple of different input options. I think to keep things simple, we're just going to go into the second input because that is a dedicated line input. The input number 1 is also a mic preamp. So just to avoid any kind of confusion there, you can mess yourself up if you have that selected to mic and plug a line in and blast your ears out. So what we're going to do then is we're going to daisy chain off of that speaker to feed our other speaker. So we're going to come out the through output on this speaker, and we are going to plug this into the second input on our second speaker. Now we don't have power set up on this speaker yet. We'll plug that in. Okay, now our PA is set up out here, and then we're going to go into the production suite and discuss how to get sound sent out here. Okay, so you had your 12 mic inputs on the panel outside, and you had your 4 returns. So your 12 mic inputs are going to come up here on channels 1 through 12. Very simple, 1 is 1, all the way through 12 being 12. So I plugged the microphone out there into input 1. So we're going to go here to channel 1 on our mixer. We're going to turn it on. We're going to bring the level up of the fader, and we're going to check our our preamp gain here. Yamaha calls it head amp gain. And we can hear it now in this room. So now we have the input coming into this room, and we're hearing it in here. You're not going to be hearing it out in the room yet because you have to decide what you're going to be sending out to the room. So the way this works on this console is there's a bunch of different mixed matrix outputs, and we can decide in detail what we send out to those speakers. So let me think about this for a second. Okay, so our TRS outputs 13, 14, 15, and 16 correspond with our outputs up the top here, 1 through 4, these red buttons here. So if I press output number 1, you'll see that that starts flashing, all of these lights come on. Now what we're looking at is what we're sending out output 1. So I want to send that microphone back out to that room. I'm going to come to channel 1 and bring the level up. So now if we go out into the other room, we'll see that the microphone is now feeding those speakers. So we could be very selective about this and say, okay, we don't want to send 1 through 4 out to those speakers because those are drums. But we do want to send the vocal mics out. So maybe we're just going to send those microphones back out to the room. So we really have a lot of flexibility here.